Welcome back. This is All This Math. I'm Professor Parker. And please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. All right. Make sure you like this video, share this video with somebody, and also please drop a comment down below in the comment section or ask a question. If you have a question about anything that I explain, then please, by all means, ask a question. I may do a follow-up video if there's something that you're still unclear about, or I may link you to another video that's already on the channel that will answer that question from a prerequisite skill or what have you. Because we have over 1,000 videos on the channel right now. At this point in time, as I make this video, we have over 1,000 videos uploaded to the channel. So I probably already got a video that will explain, a question that you have. All right, so let's read the problem. The problem says, find the slope of the line. This means perpendicular. This is the symbol, the universal symbol for perpendicularity, right? Two lines that cross each other at a 90-degree angle or form a right angle with each other. That's from geometry. To this line. This is the name of a line. So an equation is what we use to name a line. So a line can be drawn, meaning you can see a picture of it on an XY coordinate plane with the Y-axis and X-axis. You might have a line like that. Could be horizontal, could be vertical sometimes, right? That's the picture of the line. That's the graph of the line. But the line has a name, just like we all have names. The name is the equation. The equation is the name. And within the name, you got certain information. Now, in order to find the slope of a line that's perpendicular to this line, the first thing we got to do is figure out the slope of this line. We got to figure out the slope of this line. Now, there's two ways that I'm going to show you how to do that, right? The first way is called using the, what do I call it? I call it using the standard form formula, right? The standard form slope formula. So standard form is like this, right? Standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c. Now, the question you probably have right now, if you haven't seen another one of these videos that I made like this on this topic, is what is a, what is b, and what is c? Which is an excellent question. A represents the coefficient of whatever x is. So in this particular case, for this equation, a would be -1, because when you see a negative sign in front of a variable, that means that there's a -1. That's like an abbreviation, like a shortcut, like a shortened form of writing something. So we don't got to write -1x. We just write the negative sign. And then you just have to know the language of algebra and know that that represents a -1. So a, -1. A, -1. What's b? B is +3. 3 is the coefficient of y. Whatever the coefficient of y is, that's b. What's c? 9. C is 9. C is the constant on the other side of the equal sign. So because this equation is set up in standard form, we use the standard form method. We use the formula for slope, the slope formula for standard form. All right. So what does that formula look like? It looks like this. M is the letter that we use to represent slope, is equal to -a over b. All right. Now, the slope is going to be equal to -a divided by b. So what is a? -1. So we have to replace a with -1. Replace a with -1. But notice there's already a negative sign out there, so you're going to create a double negative. The negative sign is already in the formula, and then you're going to have -1. This a got replaced with -1, but the negative sign was already in front, so now you got a double negative. What is b? B is 3. Boom. Double negative, that becomes +1. +1 over 3, that's 1/3. So the slope of this line is 1/3. The slope of that line is 1/3. Now let's do it another way, using the slope-intercept form. Now with the slope-intercept form, once we put this standard form equation and convert it into slope-intercept form, we'll be able to look at it and tell immediately just from looking at it what the slope is. All right. Now, standard form is kind of like using standard English. Slope-intercept form is like using slang or vernacular, right? It's kind of like simplifying something. Like when you read like some complex text and then you kind of break it down and into your own words and simplify it, right? For a younger audience, that's like going from standard form to slope-intercept form. Think about it like that. What is the slope-intercept form? It's y equals mx plus b. We must all know that. Now, how do I change this to get it to look like this? I solve for y. So let's copy this equation down. Let's write -x plus 3y equals 9. Now I want to solve for y. This y right here, that means I want to get this y all by itself on the left side of the equation. This y is going to be all alone. I need the y all alone. That's how I solve an equation for y. That means I got to get rid of the negative x and get rid of the 3. And then the y will be by itself. But there's a way to do that, though. There's a specific way to do that. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this negative x. I don't have to do that first. I could get rid of the 3 first. But usually, if you get rid of the coefficient first, that makes things get a little messy. And we want to avoid messiness as much as possible, just like when we deal with people. We don't want to usually deal with messy people, all the drama and all that. Same thing applies to algebra. All right, so I want to get rid of this negative x. How do I do that? I do the opposite operation. What's the opposite of a negative x? The opposite of a negative x is a positive x, which means add x. Add x. And also we stay balanced. So if I add x on the left, I got to add x on the right. So I go do this. Negative x plus x is 0. They cancel out. That was the whole purpose. I wanted to get rid of negative x. They cancel out. The negative x is gone. Then I bring down the 3y. Now, 9 and x are not like terms. That means you cannot add these together. This is not 9x. This is not 10x. This ain't none of that. They are not like terms. You cannot combine them. 9 is a constant. X is a variable. They do not go together. Right? Apples and oranges. You can't add them together. You can't. You can multiply them together or divide them, but you can't add or subtract terms that are not alike. Right? If this was 9x, we could add it to x because we'd have a total amount of x's. But this is just a 9. You can't add a 9 to an x. So what do? We just represent the addition. We just write the terms next to each other. So we just write 9 plus x. All right? Very important. That's a mistake I've seen literally hundreds and hundreds of times throughout my 20-year teaching career, right? We want to avoid that. 9 plus x, you cannot combine those into one term. As bad as you might want to, you can't do it. So don't try it. As much as you may want to, don't try it. Resist the temptation. I'm telling you, don't do it. It's mathematically incorrect. All right, now we got to get rid of this 3. How do we get rid of the 3? Opposite operation. What is this? 3y means 3 times y. 3 times y is multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. You said it, division. So divide everything by 3. Everything gets divided by 3. The 9 gets divided by 3. The x gets divided by 3. We could divide x by 3. We can't add x in 3. We can't subtract 3 from x. But we can do this. We can show the division, right? What's 3 divided by 3? That's 1. 1y, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1y in algebra language is the same thing as y. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then here we got x over 3. We can't do nothing with x over 3. I could rewrite it, though. I could rewrite it as 1/3 x. Now, make sure you understand this. Make sure you understand that this is the same thing as this. This is equivalent to this. Because what's the coefficient of x? 1. The invisible coefficient of x is 1. So 1x over 3 is the same thing as saying 1/3 times x. It's like pushing the x off the fraction bar to the side, and that invisible 1 now make it visible. Now you got 1/3 x. Make sure you know that. That's important, right? In terms of algebra, right? Knowing that x over 3 is equivalent to 1/3 x. All right. Now, I want this in slope-intercept form, so I want it to look like this. So I'm going to take the x term and move it next to the equal sign. Take the 3 term, slide it to the end. So now I'm going to have y equals 1/3 x plus 3. Right? Now, the slope is m. It's the number that's the coefficient of x. So we got m. So what's that? 1/3. And then what do we have over here? 1/3. So you see, both ways we do it, we still getting 1/3. We getting 1/3 either way, right? Now, check this out. Now that we have the slope of this line, which is 1/3, now we can find the slope of the perpendicular line, right? The perpendicular line. Now, a line that's perpendicular to this line is related to this slope in a certain way. You take this slope, or this slope, they're the same thing anyway, right? You do 2 things to it. 2 things, not 3 things, not 4 things, not 1 thing. 2 things, exactly 2 things. You give it the opposite sign, and you take the reciprocal. Write that down, memorize it, do whatever you got to do. You give it the opposite sign, and you take the reciprocal. What is a reciprocal? Make sure you know what a reciprocal is. I got videos on reciprocals. The reciprocal is when you have a fraction, and you take the numerator and denominator, and they switch places, right? Like bunk beds. 2 children, they share bunk beds. Somebody's on the top bunk, somebody's on the bottom bunk. One day they say, yo, let's switch bunks. The child that was in the bottom bunk, now they go to the top bunk. The child that was in the top bunk, now they go to the bottom bunk. That's a reciprocal. That's all it is. Don't make it more difficult than what it got to be. That's all it is. All right. So this 3 is going to go up top. The 1's going to come down the bottom. So what I do is this. I'm going to write M with the perpendicular sign as a subscript. Right? The 3 is going up top. The 1's going down to the bottom. And now I also got to change the sign. Positives become negative. Negatives become positive. This was positive. So it becomes negative. So now we got negative 3 over 1. Now, we also can simplify. What's 3 divided by 1? Just 3. Anything divided by 1 is equal to the original numerator or the original dividend. So that's negative 3. So this is the final answer. So the slope of the line that is perpendicular to this line is negative 3. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so first step, find the slope of the line that they give you. Find the slope of that. I gave you 2 different ways to do it. If you have a choice, you choose which way you want to do it. All right? Now, if your teacher tells you they want you to use the slope-intercept form, meaning they want you to solve for y, then by all means, make sure you know how to do this. All right? But if you have a choice, I would just go straight to m equals negative a over b. That's a formula, right? Which is based on this. It's a formula based on this. Formulas are derived from actual practice, right? So somebody noticed that, all we really doing is we end up taking this number. It's going to be the opposite sign of this number divided by whatever this is. That's going to end up being the coefficient of x on the other side of the equation, which is what we just did, right? So that's why we had that formula. Then once you get the slope of the original line, then you do 2 things to it. 2 things. Not 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, just 2 things. You give that slope the opposite sign, and you take the reciprocal. You got to do those 2 things. All right. Go get some practice. Shout out to North Carolina A&T. I didn't attend this school, but I support all HBCUs. Shout out to the Greensboro 4, the young brothers back in 1960 that decided to plan and organize a lunch counter sit-in at a Woolworth store in Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to them. Do some research on them, and yeah, research all the HBCUs, All right, get some practice on this. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.